Hi there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Life Unapologetically podcast. I am your host, Shannon K, and today we are diving headfirst into a topic that is close to my heart. We are talking about how to go from being a skeptic to a seeker and turning doubt into a quest for truth, to unleash the seeker within, trust your intuition, and transcend to a life of unapologetic living. To do this, we are going to learn how to lean into our intuition. And don't worry, my loves, we are going to dive into how to tap into your intuition and remove the barriers that are keeping you from connecting to that wealth of wisdom that lies deep within you. So let's start by diving into the mystical realm of intuition. Intuition is the divine nature within you, your internal compass that's begging to come forth and guide you through life. Intuition is the subtle but powerful force that can change the course of your destiny. It's not just a feeling, it's the essence of your divine being, your eternal wisdom. It's the innate within you, waiting to be uncovered. Intuition is inherent wisdom that you carry within your very being. When something is inherent, it means existing in something as a permanent, essential, or characteristic attribute. Your intuition is all of those. It's permanent, essential, and an attribute that you were born with. It's not learned from textbooks or external sources. It's a gift woven into the fabric of who you are. It's the language of your soul that speaks to you, and it is as unique as your fingerprint. Think of it this way. When you were born, you were not given a user manual, but you were equipped with intuition to navigate life's twists and turns. It's like having a built-in compass that's always pointing you to your North Star, which is your true self. I want you to consider a moment when you've been struck by a brilliant idea out of nowhere. You weren't consciously thinking about it, but suddenly it was there clear as day. This shows up in my life all the time. When I have the house to myself, everybody's gone. I turn all the technology off. It's quiet. I lay in my bed. I close my eyes and I just listen. I swear they need to invent some sort of device, somebody somewhere, that you can put it on your head. And when your intuition talks, it just transcribes whatever's coming through for you. I try to take like little mental notes during this time where I'm really tapping into my intuition and say, okay, I'm going to go write that down later. But it just comes and it flows and it flows. So sometimes I forget or I can't keep up with it all because it is just like a game changer of all these wonderful things that are coming to my brain directly from my intuition and flowing. And it comes so fast and it feels so good that I don't want to stop and write it down. I just want it to keep flowing. Have you ever had that or felt that in your life in any situation where stuff just flows and it flows and it flows and you're like, oh my God, I want to remember that for later, but you don't want to like stop that moment, right? Because it feels so good. Well, that, my friend, is your intuition at play. It is your inner genius, your divine muse, whispering creative inspiration directly into your consciousness. It's the wisdom you possess deep within, guiding you towards your unique creative expression. There are many ways intuition plays out in your life, even when you aren't having a super quiet, mindful moment like the one I just described. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt a connection or a strong aversion to them? That is your intuition at work, sensing energies and vibes beyond what your conscious mind can perceive. In this instance, it could go one of two ways. So the first way would be you meet a new person, someone you've never laid eyes on before, you exchange a few words, and suddenly you feel this bond as if you've known them for years. Your intuition is the unsung hero here. It picked up on subtle cues, the warmth of their smile, the sincerity of their voice, the alignment of your energies. Your inner compass is telling you this connection is something special. Here, I want to shout out my girl Ebony that I met recently. Ma'am, you're fire, okay? I'm pretty sure she can't put words to it and I can't either, but we just clicked sitting across the table from each other at a conference. Like, what? She is a powerhouse, y'all. Now let's flip the coin. You met someone else, and as soon as you cross paths, your gut tenses up and you feel uneasy. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something just doesn't sit right. Again, it's your intuition sending signals telling you, pump your brakes. It's not about judgment, it's about protection. It's saying, hey, there might be something off here, so proceed with caution. The saying red flags is really a shout out to intuition and its existence. Let's explore another scenario. You're at a major crossroads. The logical mind is yelling at you to stay at your stable job, but your heart is pulling you towards a risky yet deeply fulfilling venture. Your intuition steps in as your guardian and it whispers, "You're born for this. Take the leap." It's an inexplicable knowing. It's that knowing that guides you to make a choice that may seem crazy to the outside world, but it feels absolutely right to you. I talked about this in a previous episode, and this happened to me when I left my teaching job mid-year with zilch lined up to replace my income or my healthcare. I was scared logically, but internally I had the greatest sense of peace. Intuition helps you to defy the logic that would keep you stuck without taking you down a path of destruction. These are just glimpses of how intuition works in our lives. It's not always loud and flashy. In fact, it's often the quietest voice in the room. That's why seeking quiet moments to hear it can be very powerful. But that's an entirely different podcast on how we do that. So, while it may be the voice in the room that isn't shouting, it's also the most trustworthy. You need to trust it the most. So, what is the divine nature of intuition? It is the knowledge that you are unique, irreplaceable, and you are an expression of the universe. It is the wisdom that reminds you of your purpose and potential. Your intuition is a direct line to the divine. It's not just a feeling, it's a connection to your true self and the vast universe around you. It's like having the universe's secrets encoded within your DNA because they are there, just waiting for you to tap into them. Your intuition is the bridge between your earthly existence and your spiritual existence. It is the divine wisdom that flows through you, guiding you towards your destiny. So remember this, intuition is not just a part of you, it is you. It is the divine nature within you, your internal and innate wisdom, always ready to lead you on a quest for truth, because intuition is the pure truth. So let's explore the transformative power of intuition and how it can lead you to a better, more fulfilling life. It's like having a superpower that's been there all along, waiting to be harnessed. Remember, intuition is inherent. Intuition is you. Intuition knows the destination of your soul's desire, even when your logical mind is lost in the noise of everyday life. It is having a way of gently nudging you towards the choices and paths that align with your authentic self. When you listen to it, you're more likely to make decisions that truly resonate with your heart and soul. We have to tap into intuition because it comes into play during pivotal moments where we're faced with life-altering decisions. And this is where our intuition can truly shine as our guiding light. I want you to think about some of these instances that happen, and they happen to all of us at some point in life. They may have already happened, they may happen more than once, or guess what? They might be coming up in your future. That can be career changes, moving to a new city, embarking on a passion project. Your intuition steps in like a wise elder because it knows everything, offering clarity amid the chaos. It knows what's best for you, even when the path seems uncertain. When you trust your intuition in these moments, you're likely to make choices that lead to more fulfillment and happiness and alignment to your life's true purpose. As you continue to follow your intuition, something beautiful happens. You build trust and confidence in yourself. You begin to recognize that you are your own best guide. Yes, that is what I said, you. You are your own best guide. We'll address the barrier to this in a minute, but girl, if you hear nothing else I say today, please hear this. The power is in you and you are the power. Each time you listen to your intuitive nudges and they lead to positive outcomes, you reinforce the connection with your inner wisdom. This process strengthens your belief in yourself and your ability to make choices that serve your highest good. Our intuition never separates from us because remember, it is you, so this inner guidance system is going to show up in every part of your life. So whether it's romantic partnerships, a friendship, or a professional collaboration, your intuition can guide you towards connections that are truly enriching. The best thing about intuition is that it gets you through all the things that life throws your way. Life isn't a smooth ride, and obstacles are bound to appear on your path. Intuition is your trusted ally. It's navigating you through these challenges, okay? It's helping guide you through. When you encounter obstacles, intuition provides creative solutions and alternatives that your logical mind might overlook. You know, that your stressful mind might overlook, or your anxiety mind might overlook. That mind, the mind that is not letting you see past your nose, that mind. It's like having a built in problem solver that helps you find your way around those roadblocks. I truly love this about intuition. And for many years, I couldn't describe it. Much of my career life, I was always called on to solve complex problems. Even if it wasn't part of my job description, I would be asked to weigh in on things and give solutions. Why was this? Well, as one person said to me, like this is what they said to me, I don't know how you see things the way you do. Your brain works differently to come up with all these pathways and potentials. You do it so quickly and effortlessly. Just watching how you work hurts my brain. And the reason the person said this is because I literally think out loud, or I map things visually as I think. And so he followed up and said, your brain's like a supercomputer. In my personal life, I am the go-to person for everyone when things are wonky. Shannon, what do we do? Okay. Like I always get the calls, I always get the texts, like, what do we do here? That kind of thing. And that's simply tapping into intuition. It's not that my brain or my thought process is different or better. I just fall into the calm. I find that is where my intuition flows effortlessly. As a matter of fact, it's so funny because my sister always tells me, I don't understand how you're so calm. I'd be freaking out. So remember, I told you that your stress brain, your anxiety brain, that I can't see past my nose brain, then, that's the freaking out brain. So what I learned was that if I just let go of trying to figure things out and I fall into the calm, that is where the magic happens. And the same goes for you, my love. You have the same power within you. Your intuition is your secret weapon for creating a better, more fulfilling life. It is the guiding force that leads you to the choices aligned with your true self. It builds your confidence. It helps you navigate relationships and challenges. So I'm going to be real with you. For a while, I thought like I had this super amazing brain and I was just blessed with genius. I mean, I am a genius and so are you, but I thought that it was this thing that was particular to my brain. And then I learned as I started seeking, right? Because we are being seekers today and we're no longer skeptics, that everybody has this brain because it's our intuition. It's innately there. It is within you. It is not isolated to Shannon or a few other people that we can see well beyond and solve problems and fix things or fall into the calm. Like it's not isolated. It's within all of us. But there's some barriers to that. I had barriers to that and I overcame those barriers. And through that work, then I was able to do these things that everybody thought was amazing. And then the more I started seeking and the more I went on this quest, I was like, I don't know why they think I'm so special. They're so special too. Like that is literally why I'm here, guys. That is why this podcast exists, because you are special too. We just have to break down the barriers. And yes, I'm going to come on here and say that I am special. I am not going to negate that. We are all special and wonderful and unique and divine. And I am going to tell it to you. And I'm also going to tell it to myself. We just have to break down barriers. And there are some that are very prevalent today that we are going to jump into. And we're going to do that right now. Because you might be thinking, I don't flow like that. Or maybe I flow like that, but not consistently when it comes to intuition. I got you. Because remember, we're all freaking special. All right. Like that is really on my heart today. Like we're all amazing, special, extraordinary. I need you to hear it and I need you to know it. We just have to dissect some barriers that keep us from embracing our intuition, because remember, your intuition is you and you are it. And it's a part of your divine being that gets lost in this world, okay? But I want you to live your most authentic life. I want these barriers to break like chains, the ones that are binding you, so you can understand and take the first step to breaking free. The first step is self-awareness, being aware. I remember my before and after. I remember when I was in chains and now I am free. This isn't a transformation that is reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone, all of us. Yes, even you. Because guess what? You know what I've learned through working with people and being around people is that we think all the extraordinary stuff is reserved for everybody but us. No, 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 no. Today is your day. Can you say that? I don't care where you are. Just like in your brain or out loud, can you say, today is my day? Yes, today is your day to start to transform and to begin to understand. The first thing we're going to talk about is our brains and how incredible and adaptive they are. From the moment we're born, they're like sponges soaking up information from the world around us. This process of learning and adapting shapes our beliefs, habits, and behaviors. Yes, even that belief that the extraordinary is for everybody else but not yourself. That's right. Something in your life, you absorbed that, and it became ingrained into you as a belief. But remember, we're getting rid of that today. Our brains create pathways. I'm going to continue to tell you about your brain so you can break out of this. So let's understand your brain some more, because once I really understood how the brain worked, and y'all, I have a degree in psychology, so I did understand the brain and behaviors. But then as my career expanded, I was put into a position where I learned more and more about brain research, and I became a teacher about brain research and how it affects learning and habits and behaviors and all the things. Okay, so I'm going to continue to talk about our brain. Stay with me for a minute. We'll get to the mystical stuff in a second, but we really need to understand our brain. So our brains, like I said, they create pathways based on exposure. The more you're exposed to something, the deeper the connection forms in the brain to whatever you're being surrounded by. Now, unfortunately, this can create barriers that push down your intuition, or you fight against your intuition because you're being conditioned to do so. Like go back in your childhood and imagine being this child, because you were, in a society where fitting in and conforming is encouraged, right? That can be you as an adult continuing to be conditioned that you have to fit in and you have to conform. That's the pressure of societal norms. From what we wear to how we express ourselves, society often dictates what is acceptable and what is not. And think about how these norms stifle our authenticity. So, for instance, if you're passionate about a non-traditional career or lifestyle, you may face resistance and judgment from those around you. This societal pressure can lead you to suppress your true desires and conform to what is considered normal. Living as part of the status quo is a huge barrier to intuition. Yet, it is one of the strongest forces in our life because of how much our brain gets this information over and over again, building deep pathways of conformity. That is why I feel like the status quo, societal norms, are the biggest barrier to tapping into intuition. Because of how our brains function, because we're exposed to stuff now more than ever, right? We're more connected than ever. Technology brings us together more than ever. Conformity can be that much more impressed upon us. Our brains are being exposed now more than ever to this barrier that suppresses our intuition. So to me, that's a very big one. The next one is fear, right? Okay, my friends, we talk about fear a lot on here, but it's another barrier to intuition because fear is a barrier to so many things. And I go into fear in depth in episode 28, but here's a brief kind of recap for you. And it is like a protective shield that our brains develop over time. Fear is innately with us, just like intuition is innately with us. It's designed to keep us safe from harm, both physical and emotional. However, it can be a formidable barrier to growth and intuition. And I'm pretty sure you're going to relate to this. I want you to imagine you have a dream, a big, audacious one that excites and terrifies you in equal measure. Your fear response kicks in, warning you of potential risks and failures. It's like an internal alarm bell, and it can be paralyzing. Let's say you've always dreamt of starting your own business, but fear of failing or your business not making it looms. So your brain reminds you of all the potential pitfalls and setbacks because your brain's trying to protect you from disappointment and loss through fear, right? What do you decide to do? You might decide to stay in your safe but unfulfilling job because it feels less risky. After all, you have a mortgage to pay and a car to pay for and gas and you need food. And oh my gosh, things are more expensive than ever. Why would I leave something that is stable in an already unstable world? Okay, so you stay, but you're not fulfilled. And your intuition is like whispering, take the leap, take the leap. You have what it takes. Yet fear is drowning out that wise counsel. So let's connect the dots here. Your intuition is your inner compass, your North Star. It guides you towards authenticity, purpose, and fulfillment. Conditioning, societal norms, and fears lead you astray, pulling you in the opposite direction. The more you conform to what is expected of you, the further you drift away from your intuition. It's like a disconnection from your inner wisdom, a misalignment of your true self with the mask you wear for the world. The consequences of the disconnection from your intuition are profound. You may find yourself living a life that looks good on the surface, but feels really empty inside. You might experience lack of fulfillment or lack of purpose, or a constant yearning for something more. It's like the little shapes toy you played with as a kid. You know the one I'm talking about? It was like a big yellow square, and then it had the cutouts of all the different shapes in it. Well, the disconnection is like you trying to shove the shapes in random cutouts they don't fit in. No matter the force you use trying to put the square into the triangle, it's not going to work. Your intuition is the key to unlocking your authentic self and having all the shapes slide effortlessly into the cutout of the little yellow toy. So you have to recognize what the barriers are so that you can stop trying to put the square into the triangle and you can make this all come together. Recognizing that conditioning, fear, and societal norms can be a powerful force that leads you away from your intuition, which means you're led away from your true self. Reflect on the ways these barriers have influenced your choices and actions. Understand breaking free from them is a journey towards a more authentic, fulfilling, and intuitive life, a life that is lived unapologetically. Y'all know I love it. Now that we've shed light on the barriers that can disconnect us from our intuition, which is truly our authentic self, it's time to explore how we can trust our inner guidance and break free from fear, challenge social norms, and rewire our brains for a life of purpose and authenticity. What do I mean when I say rewire your brain? Okay, I'm so glad you asked. When I learned that our brains have neuroplasticity, I learned that our brains could change. Neuroplasticity means that you have the ability to change your brain. Holy hell, did I feel relief when I learned about that because I knew I wasn't going to be stuck anymore. Yes, you can rewire your brain. Just let that sink in. You can rewire your brain. So now that we've uncovered this mystical truth, like seriously, I swear it's mystical because all growing up, all I heard was, and all I was conditioned to believe was that like people are just how they are and they can't change it. So I truly thought that I had found buried treasure because in my 30s, when I started doing brain research and found out that our brains could change, I felt like Indiana Jones finding like an ancient treasure. And I had gone through all the booby traps of conditioning. And I came to this discovery and I was like, hell to the yeah. I have found the magical resource, the secret weapon, whatever you want to call it. And that is that we can change. We don't have to stay the same. We don't have to block our intuition. We don't have to conform. And we can make our brains get in line. So let's start the rewiring. I'm going to start with fear because I just did an entire process about fear last Wednesday night. And I shared about that on my Instagram story. Fear, my friends, is not the enemy if we use it correctly. It's a compass pointing to the way of growth and transformation. When we learn to embrace fear, we turn it from a roadblock into a stepping stone on our path to intuition. So, how do we embrace fear? It starts with just acknowledging its presence. When fear shows up, it's signaling you that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and that's where the magic happens. So that's what I did. I went on my Instagram stories and I was like, y'all, I'm afraid. So I know that it's an indicator that I am on to something freaking amazing. The greatest takeaway I can give you is reframe fear as excitement. Your body reacts similarly to both emotions. So why not choose the more empowering perspective? Instead of saying, I'm scared, say, I'm excited about this new adventure. I live for rewiring social norms. I swear part of my purpose in this life is to be the rebel against conformity and people being stuck in boxes when they were never meant to be put in them in the first place. Societal norms are those invisible rules that dictate what is considered normal and yearn to cut you off from living authentically and in alignment with your intuition. Fuck normal, okay? I just had to say it, just had to get it out. Let normal go. Imagine a world where everyone followed the same path, conforming to the expectations of society. It would be a world devoid of innovation, diversity, and individuality. So, how do we challenge these norms and step into our purpose? Question everything. Yeah. Start by questioning the norms you've been taught to follow. Ask yourself why you're conforming to certain expectations. Is it because it's aligned with your values and desires, or is it simply because it's what you've been told to do? Authenticity is a rebellion against societal norms. Embrace your unique qualities, quirks, and passions. If you want to get back into your intuition, rebel against the norms because societal norms want to suppress that. Period. Because we're all unique. We are all variables. There is not one path. There is not one way. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same. So I need those of you who feel hopeless to start looking for those to give you hope. Those who are in a place of hope, I need you to start stepping out and shining your light so that you can give others permission to do the same. Because sometimes other people are a little bit more scared, and that's okay. I was scared. I was the most scared little girl. And when I say the most scared little girl, I mean the scared little girl that was a grown-up, that went from a child to adulthood, still being a scared little girl. And it was unapologetic, authentic women who showed up in my life that allowed me to feel brave enough to step out into my own authenticity. So when you do it, it gives others permission to do the same. Do we need permission from other people? No. So maybe I should change the word. Maybe I shouldn't say it gives other people permission. It gives other people the inspiration to do the same. Let's change that word right here, right now. I'm not editing out of the podcast. I'm going to stick with it and flow with it. When you live authentically, you give others inspiration to do the same. You see how my intuition helped me right then and there? My inner self? Let it flow in you all the time. And listen to it when it whispers to you. My intuition whispered, no. Shannon, you didn't need other people's permission to live authentically. You needed their inspiration to live authentically. So, if you are out there and you are ready to step into the light, do it so that you can give other people the inspiration to do the same. If you're like, Shannon, I'm not ready for that, just take small steps, baby. Because once again, we are going to be changing our brains. And some of us have already been on a path to changing our brains, and some of us are just starting, and it doesn't really matter, okay? It's not a race here. It's not a race. We don't compare. With Shannon K, we don't compare. Comparison is not a thing. We all run our own race. So I love you right where you are. There is no judgment here. Let's go back to how we start this process, right? And how does this relate to our brain and the power of neuroplasticity? Because I really want us to stick with that. And I want you to free yourself, because a lot of times when we're stuck in the logic and our intuition is so suppressed, we need a little bit of logic or a little bit of science or a little bit of proof so that we can start to move. into our intuition. Okay, so that's why I really want to focus on the brain and why I'm focusing on brain science here with you today. For those of you who need that, it is there for you. I needed that because I was super logical. So I needed that in my life. Remember that your brain isn't fixed. Your brain is not an unchangeable entity. It is malleable, it is adaptable, and it is capable of rewiring itself even in adulthood. And I always say, of course, that it's because of the conditioning that we need the unwiring. Like when we're first put here as children, we really don't need that. It's really the adults in us that need the rewiring because we've been conditioned so much for so long. I want you to imagine your brain as a garden. The neural pathways are like trails through the garden. Your thoughts and experiences are the footsteps that created these paths. When you change your thoughts and actions, you can reshape these pathways. That is how you break conformity and societal norms and fears. You walk differently. One way to start walking with your own swagger is mindfulness meditation. Remember how I told you how I lay there in the quiet and it all flows? Didn't used to be that way. I had to start with mindfulness. I had to start with meditation. But this is a potent tool for rewiring your brain. It helps you become aware of your thoughts and feelings, allowing you to consciously choose a new path and choose empowering thought patterns. As always, consistency is key. Rewiring your brain takes time and repetition. Practice new habits consistently to strengthen the neural pathways associated with your authentic self. Remember that your brain's plasticity means you're not stuck in old ways. You have the ability to change, grow, and evolve. Trust your inner guidance. Question the norms that no longer serve you and believe in your capacity to create a life on purpose and authentically. All right, my lovelies, we have made it. I know this has been a very in-depth podcast with you today, but we are here. It is time to grab your pens and notebooks because it is time for the good stuff, the action steps, your one-on-one coaching session on how to unleash the seeker within, trust your intuition, and transcend to a life of unapologetic living. Are you ready? This week, I challenge you to set aside a few moments each day for what I call intuitive check-ins, okay? It is simple, but it is very powerful, and it will help you rekindle your connection with your inner wisdom. Here's how it works. You need to set time aside for morning, midday, and evening reflection. Each morning, take a few minutes to sit quietly with yourself. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and ask yourself, what does my intuition want to tell me today? Listen for any insights, feelings, or nudges that arise and jot them down in your journal. What is the first intuitive insight that comes to you as you start your day? Think about it and write it down. Now here comes your midday time frame. Around midday, you're going to pause for a moment. I do not care if you are at work, at home, or anywhere else. You are going to pause and ask yourself, am I following my intuition in this moment, or am I reacting out of habit or fear? It's about bringing awareness to your actions or choices. It's not about judgment, but remember, the first step is self-awareness. Once we're aware, as soon as you become self-aware, getting from point A to point B goes really, really fast. Okay, so it's just about self-awareness. There is no judgment. No judgment in it. If you answer, no, I'm acting out of habit, big whoop-de-doo. You're self-aware. Pat yourself on the back. You're not judging yourself and like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm not being intuitive. You're not doing that. You're saying, oh, I'm acting out of habit. How cool is it that I'm now recognizing this? Oh my gosh. You see? That's it. It's just about knowing and understanding what you're doing. What action or decision can you make in that moment that aligns with your intuition? Okay. So if you are not functioning and you're like, oh, look at that, I'm acting out of habit, I'm on autopilot right now, then I want you to shift it and say, well, what can I do right now that aligns with my intuition? As your day comes to a close, revisit your journal from the morning. Reflect on your intuitive insights and any action you took based on them. Ask yourself, how did following my intuition today impact my day and my sense of purpose? What did you learn about yourself and your intuition through this practice today? By incorporating the intuitive checks into your day throughout this week, you'll create a habit of regularly tuning into your internal wisdom. It's a practical way to overcome the barriers we've discussed and to strengthen your connection with your intuition. Remember, the journey from skepticism to becoming a true seeker is a series of small steps, and this week you're taking one of them. To keep your journey going strong, don't forget to subscribe and get the free Live Life Unapologetically monthly magazine. It is designed to help you step into your power, crush imposter syndrome, and embrace authenticity like a boss, saying goodbye to societal norms and hello to living life unapologetically. Each month, you get a power packed issue of sassy insights, savage strategies, and spirited meditations. I will link to the magazine in the description of the podcast, or you can go to livelifeunapologetically.com/subscribe to begin your free subscription to the Live Life Unapologetically magazine. As we wrap up today's episode, remember, you have the power within you to overcome these barriers and reconnect with your intuition, because your intuition is what? It is you. Remember that intuition is your divine nature, your inner compass. Barriers like fears, societal norms, and conditioning can be overcome. You have the power to embrace fear, challenge norms, and rewire your brain. Thank you for joining me on the Live Life Unapologetically podcast. I want you to remember to continue to seek, trust your intuition, and transcend into who you were meant to be. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fabulous, and as always, live life unapologetically.